Welcome back to Notballtalk. It's your host Dietrich, back at you with another one. And today we're going to be talking about NBA playoff basketball. Now, this episode we mainly going to be talking about the West side of the NBA playoffs. First, we're going to get into the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, who I think may soon to be your NBA champions. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. So, one thing I definitely want to get into is the Timberwolves defense. It's one of the most beautiful things a basketball enthusiast or anybody who loves basketball can get into and can watch. That's the way that whole team play. They trust each other on the defensive side of the ball, really play defense with heart, aggression, and a strong mentality to just not be scored on and want to make the game literally a living hell for the offensive players. It's a beautiful thing to watch for 4 quarters. But the first thing I really want to dive into is how Anthony Edwards is really diving into being like the people's face of the NBA. Now, of course, the obvious face of the NBA is Nikola Jokic, but the people's face, the one that everybody loves, who's slowly emerging into the face of the league, in my opinion, is Anthony Edwards. He just does it all on the court. He's one of the best people in front of the camera. He's a fan favorite. Everybody loves him. Like it's really hard to hate the guy for real. You know what I'm saying? He just got a signature shoe. The commercial he does is great. The interviews he has is great. And he's really just a young man, you know what I'm saying, living out his dream and just having the most fun with it and being himself. A main reason why I love Ant is just, his confidence, his swagger, his aura, as you know what I'm saying, the young folks like to say, it's unmatched, really. You can't like he just has that it factor. He just has that dog where it's like, you really just can't take it away from a good game or bad game. He always gonna shows up and play with his chest out and his heart on the floor. Just to give you a couple of stats, you know what I'm saying, like last game in game 2 where they won in a dominant fashion over the Nuggets, the score was 106-80. Anthony Edwards was 11 for 17 from the field. He had 27 points, 7 assists, +8. He was a +18 in a plus-minus ratio. He just done a lot, and of course you can't really notice it on a stat sheet, but what he did defensively that game, along with Jaden McDaniels, Nickel Alexander-Walker, I probably pronounced his name wrong, and Kyle Anderson. Matter of fact, the whole team really. I think that was a whole great defensive game by the Timberwolves on how they defended the Denver Nuggets for sure. Now, one question I want to ask you guys is, as basketball fans, do you guys think that the series is 2-0 right now going into Minnesota these next 2 games? Do you guys think it's kind of over for the Nuggets? Do you guys think, you know what I'm saying, it's time to bring the broom out? They about to go ahead and clean the Nuggets out in Minnesota and head on to the next series? Or do you guys think the Nuggets still have a little bit of life? Or they could potentially come back and win these series? Let me know. And also, another question I have for you guys is do you think this is the end for Anthony Edwards to win a championship at 22, 23 years old, I believe? Do you think he could probably get it done this year? I think he can, but again, let me know what you guys think. But I think personally, I think it might be over for the Nuggets only because in watching the games, they just look uncomfortable. I just think the matchup wise, the Timberwolves just match up with them beautifully. The way everybody on their team is kind of tall, long wingspan, could guard 1 through 5, and everybody just takes pride in it. Everybody just takes pride in defense. So it makes it real hard for the offensive side of the ball for the Nuggets to really get going. And that's what they're best at. They're setting traps at Jamal Murray, blitzing him, making him uncomfortable. They're playing Michael Porter Jr. way hard off of the pin downs, hard off of screens, making it very tough for him to shoot the ball, running him off the 3-point line. And they're setting traps and double team towards Jokic as soon as he gets a paint touch. So it's real hard for Jokic to be that playmaker, for him to get his shots off that he wants to, because every time he touches the ball, he's seeing a double team. And it's like the Timberwolves rotate so beautiful on defense, where it's like that skip pass may not be there, and multiple times that we have seen to where Anthony Edwards could jump the pass, Jaden McDaniels could jump the pass, and Naz Reid could jump the pass. It's not always there. And Jokic also has a tough time getting past Naz Reid, who is 6'9", long wingspan, very agile, and can move as well as Jokic also. But I kind of like what the Timberwolves' game plan is. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but their game plan is to not lose through Jokic and Jamal Murray. Their game plan is to lose through Aaron Gordon and let Aaron Gordon try to get his shots off and do X, Y, and Z on his own, because Aaron Gordon is not a first option type of player. He's not a first read type of player. when he was that first option, that first read in Orlando Magic, that team was a lottery team. Let's just be honest. And now during this series, that's what the Nuggets is looking like, a lottery team, because they're trying to play through Aaron Gordon and everybody isn't getting good looks, good shots off. It just looks like bad basketball is being portrayed on the floor offensively and defensively. Just to give you guys a couple things, a couple stats to look at here. For the plus minus ratio in game 2, nobody on the Nugget side had anything in the plus outside of Christian Braun, and he played 11 minutes and shot 2 shots. Everybody was in the negative side of the plus minus. Michael Porter Jr. shot 4 for 12. Jokic shot 5 for 13. Jamal Murray shot 3 for 18. Contavious Caldwell Pope shot 2 for 6. Everybody pretty much wasn't playing good on the floor on the offensive side and the defensive side. It was just nothing the Nuggets could do with the Timberwolves. But I think, you know what I'm saying, I think the Nuggets can get one. Maybe. It's not looking so bright for them right now. Going into Minnesota, it's looking very hard because, you know, Minnesota, that stadium is rocking. So it's going to be very hard for the Nuggets. I believe game 2 is probably Friday. I can't wait to watch it, but I think it's probably going to be done for them. I called Nuggets in 5. Of course, I didn't get to record the episode, but I called Nuggets in 5 to a couple of my friends before, and yeah, I think it could be. I said Nuggets in 5. Timberwolves in 5. It possibly is going to be Timberwolves in 5-04. So yeah, I think this series is pretty much done with, in my opinion. And I do think this is the year for Anthony Edwards. I think this is the year. This is the team for the Timberwolves to go win a championship. I think they're going to have a tough time getting out the West though, with how the Thunder and the Mavericks is looking. I think the Thunder may take that series also, and then whoever win that series, I'm pretty sure they're going to come out to play the Celtics out of the East side. So I mean, whoever's going to come out the West is going to have a tough task going against the Celtics. The other team I want to talk about, of course, in the West side of the basketball is Mavericks and the Thunder. Now, I think this is going to be a great series. I think possibly could go 6 or 7, but I think the Mavericks, they have to do a lot of work on the offensive side of the ball, just as well as the defensive side of the ball, to make OKC want to work. I think that first game was pretty easy, in my opinion, for the Thunder. Luka didn't have a great game at all. Kyrie tried what he could, and then it's just so hard to guard the young, talented players of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Luka had 19 points. They was playing great defense of Luka, but I think Luka was also battling a knee injury, I believe, or a leg injury. I don't know how Luka's injury is going to affect the Mavericks. Hopefully, he could come back better in game 2 and be more aggressive, hit a couple of shots so the floor could open up for the rest of the team. As we all know, that's how the Mavericks play their offense. They kind of play that James Harden, Houston style basketball with Luka, letting him get his shots off and play make off of him. But if he's not hitting his shots and playing comfortably, it's going to be kind of hard for that offense to get going at that point, because the Mavericks is basically a live and die team by Luka Doncic. And when you're kind of not living by it, you're dying by Luka by him not hitting his shots and forcing and not being fluid in his movement. It's going to be kind of hard for that whole offense to get going, so where he's not throwing lobs. Now he's trying to shoot the ball and kind of shoot his way. Kind of shoot his way out of things. And once Oklahoma City sees that and see that the offense isn't doing well, they just see blood. Kind of like that team is a very great young talented team with a lot of good defenders, and they just chemistry is through the roof. I think they probably have, if not the best chemistry, they have probably like a top 3, top 4 chemistry in the league for sure, and definitely in the league. I think they're definitely up there with like the New York Knicks chemistry, where it's like you really just have to be a great chemistry team in order to beat them, because they're always on the same page. They rarely ever miss a beat in a game, so it's hard to catch them off guard. I do also think that the way that the Mavericks offense is, I don't know if they can stick with the Oklahoma City Thunder defense, because the Thunders are going to play aggressive, up in your chest, upbeat, and want to guard you and want to make you and force you to hit shots. So whereas the Mavericks, their offense, like I said, is very isolation offense orientated, to where it's not making the Thunder defense work. You're not making it hard on them at all, really, on the defense side of the ball, because you're just playing iso ball, 1-on-1 ball, kind of like, where it can work, but how long is that going to work out? And the Thunder have the coach of the year. I'm pretty sure he can easily adjust to that like he was done in game one. Game one, I think he put a very good game plan out there and knowing what he has to do to go out there and win that ball game and potentially win this series. One thing I do want to talk about and ask you guys is who do you guys think is the X factor for the Mavericks to go out there and win this series? Who do you guys think the Mavericks need to show up and show out in order for them to win these series? And who do you guys think the Oklahoma City Thunder X factor is and needs to show up and show out in order for them to win this series? Of course, the obvious answer on both sides is going to be SGA and Luka Doncic, but I think in the Maverick series, I think one player who's definitely going to have to step up and demand more out of himself and the team is PJ Washington for sure. And I have a sleeper is Daniel Gafford. I think PJ Washington could kind of be that X factor, that key piece to relieve some stress off of Kyrie's shoulders, off of Luka Doncic's shoulders. And if he tends to find his own, get his shots off, get good looks, and be great defensively, it could lead to easier offense on his side. And it could potentially, get points for himself and relieve some of the point stress and on Kyrie and Luka's shoulders and open the floor up for them more. So that way the defense isn't so keyed in and honed in on Kyrie and Luka. It relieves stress on them. As well as Daniel Gafford, I believe he has to be a dominant force on the offensive side of the rebounds. The more rebounds he get offensively, he could come down with it, go back up, dunk the ball, and just do a lot of easy cleanup stuff to where it can get easy points. It can slow down the Thunder and their transition offense where they could get out, run and gun, hit threes, and do a lot of stuff as that. And also Daniel Gafford defensively. I mean, I feel like if he can slow down Chet Holmgren or can possibly guard him a little bit better to where it will be easier on them transition wise and them not having to worry about the 7-foot long wingspan who can do it all on the floor. Defensive wise, they could just kind of slow down and hold it on Jalen Williams and SGA, which is also a very hard task alone. Now, for the Thunder side, I personally think the X factor is going to have to be Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams and Lou Dort, of course. I think Lou Dort plays, if not the biggest piece in this whole series on both teams, I think he probably plays one of the biggest pieces because game in, game out, he's going to have the assignment to go out there and check the best player. Now, I don't know who he's going to be checking. Almost every game, they're probably going to switch him off from Kyrie to Luka, depending on the matchups or the scenarios they want. But I think he probably has the biggest assignment, the biggest job on his hands, and slowing them two down. Of course, there's no stopping Kyrie. Is really no stopping Luka, kind of, sort of. It's, what I'm saying, more so containing them and trying to knock them off their game a little bit, so that way you can get as much as you can on offensive side of the ball. But Lou Dort definitely for sure. And a little bit of offense he does give you. A lot of his defense transitions into their offense to where a lot of people don't see that with the naked eye. It is not just something you can see on their stat sheet. His defense leads to their offense a lot of times, and a lot of people don't notice it. But yeah, and he also could do stuff on the half court side as far as shoot the ball, backdoor cut, get on a transition, get a little slam dunk here and there. But he knows his main job on in this game is to play defense, strap up, and get stops. And Jalen Williams, he just has to come out and be that superstar that I know he's going to be soon. I believe Jalen Williams is going to be a heck of a player in this league. He has the statue for it, big size, he can move, athletic, and he's really getting into his shot now to where he's getting comfortable and shooting those threes, those mid rangers. And with that size and that athleticism, the defensive side of the ball, it don't come that hard to him. The defense side is really easy to him, in my opinion, the way it looks like. He just looks so fluid, so freely. I think now he just has to demand the game more, insert more dog into him, and just play free willingly. The game also comes a little bit easier to him because he has an MVP candidate in SGA right across from him who can relieve a 30-point stress off him to where he only has to score 18 to 25 points. But if he could get into that 18 to 30-point range, crash the boards a little bit, show a little bit of playmaking, he's going to be one heck of a player to become in this league, and definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. Now, one thing I do want to point out to you guys is, do you guys think the Mavericks are in trouble after that game one loss, or do you think they just need a game to settle win? It was brought to my attention that the Mavs have never won a game one in a 7-game series under Jason Kidd era. So should they really be worried, or is this something that they're just used to? They just always need a game to get under their belt and to get more calm and acclimated to the game and learn their opponent a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. That's all I got for you guys today. This is Not Ball Talk. Your host, Dietrich, signing off.
He passed me the ball. He never passed me the ball.